Today, we're diving into the wild and wonderful life of Archimedes, a brilliant ancient Greek thinker whose ideas were so huge that they still echo through science classrooms today. Archimedes was born in the sunny city of Syracuse, where bright blue seas, busy markets, and noisy streets gave him endless things to wonder about. Even as a child, he was the kind of kid who would ignore his lunch because he was too busy staring at a shadow or poking a seashell to figure out its shape. He loved sketching triangles and circles anywhere he could, from patches of sand to the sides of jars, like the world was one giant notebook for his imagination. People often found him wandering around with messy hair, lost in thought, mumbling math problems to himself like he was having a conversation with numbers. One of his most famous creations was the Archimedes screw, a giant spiraling tube that could lift water upward as easily as a child raising a bucket from a well. Farmers loved this invention because it magically moved water from low muddy ponds into thirsty fields, making crops grow stronger and faster. It is said that Archimedes invented it while trying to solve one of King Hieron's endless challenges, which the king tossed at him like puzzles for his personal genius. Archimedes always accepted the king's requests cheerfully, then disappeared into his workshop where gears, ropes, and half-built machines covered every corner like a mechanical jungle. But his mind didn't stop at inventions. Archimedes was also a master of geometry, spending hours studying shapes so deeply that he could see patterns hidden from everyone else. He discovered clever ways to measure circles, spheres, and cylinders, creating formulas so accurate that students today still learn them, sometimes with groans and eye rolls. One of his most legendary achievements came from a problem about a royal crown that might not have been made of pure gold. The king wanted to know the truth, but destroying the crown to check it was not an option, so the challenge landed squarely in Archimedes' lap. He thought about it for days, walking in circles, scratching diagrams in the dirt, and forgetting his dinner more times than anyone could count. Then one day, as he stepped into a warm bath, he noticed the water rise around him like a miniature tide creeping up a sandy shore. The realization hit him like a lightning bolt, and suddenly he understood that he could measure the crown's purity using water displacement. Overwhelmed with excitement, Archimedes leapt out of the bathtub, forgetting everything including his clothes, and sprinted through the streets shouting, "Eureka! I found it!" The people of Syracuse must have been baffled as he dashed by like a dripping, squealing comet of victory. Thanks to his watery discovery, Archimedes proved that the crown was mixed with silver, rescuing the king from a sneaky scam. But Archimedes didn't stop with bathtubs and crowns. He explored why things float, why things sink, and how forces push upward like invisible hands beneath the waves. His studies laid the foundation for buoyancy, helping future shipbuilders understand why huge wooden boats can glide across water even while carrying mountains of cargo. Archimedes also designed powerful war machines to protect Syracuse when Roman ships threatened the city. He built massive catapults that could hurl stone boulders high into the air, crashing down on enemies like thunder falling from the sky. He created towering cranes that reached over the city walls, gripping enemy ships and flipping them backward into the ocean like a child tossing a toy boat. Some stories even claim he used giant mirrors to reflect sunlight into blazing beams that set Roman ships on fire like dry leaves under a magnifying glass. Historians still argue about whether the mirror weapon was real, but the story is too awesome to ignore. Archimedes became such a problem for the Roman army that their commander warned his soldiers not to harm the brilliant old man under any circumstances. But Archimedes lived in his own world of diagrams and ideas, barely noticing the danger around him. The Romans entered the city. On the day Syracuse fell, Archimedes sat peacefully on the ground, drawing delicate geometric shapes into the dust as if the world outside didn't exist. When a Roman soldier approached, Archimedes didn't panic. He simply looked up and said, "Do not disturb my circles," as calmly as if he were asking someone not to step on a sandcastle. The soldier, not realizing who he was, reacted violently, ending the life of one of history's greatest minds in a heartbreaking moment of confusion. Even the Roman general mourned him deeply, recognizing that the world had just lost a shining spark of genius. Fortunately, Archimedes' discoveries lived on through the books he wrote and the students he taught, spreading his ideas far beyond the shores of Syracuse. Scientists in later centuries studied his work with awe, realizing how far ahead of his time he had been. His writings influenced physics, engineering, and mathematics in ways he probably never imagined while scribbling shapes in the sand. Today, we still use his principles to build cranes, design ships, and understand the forces that help submarines dive and rise in the ocean. His famous saying, "Give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and I will move the earth," remains one of the most powerful expressions of scientific confidence. Archimedes believed that even simple tools could achieve extraordinary things when used with clever thinking. This belief shaped engineering for thousands of years, inspiring machines that lift, pull, push, and move the world around us. What made Archimedes truly special was the playful spark inside him, the one that treated every problem like a fun challenge rather than a boring chore. He approached science with the same curiosity a kid brings to a new toy, poking and twisting it until every secret revealed itself. Archimedes believed that learning was a grand adventure, one filled with excitement, surprises, and the occasional wild moment of yelling "Eureka" in public. His curiosity was so powerful that he often forgot where he was or what he was supposed to be doing, which made him look absent-minded but also wonderfully imaginative. People who knew him said he could forget the food in his hands because he was too busy solving a puzzle in his head. Yet this dreamy, distracted genius inspired generations of thinkers to follow in his footsteps. Mathematicians admired the elegance of his proofs, even as they rubbed their temples trying to understand them. His work showed that science wasn't just about facts and measurements, it was also about wonder. Archimedes encouraged everyone to pay attention to tiny details, like ripples in water or shadows on the ground, because simple observations could unlock big discoveries. He also proved that mistakes weren't failures, they were just steps toward finding the right answer. Archimedes rarely got things perfect on the first try, but he kept adjusting and testing until his ideas finally clicked. This persistence helped him create inventions and theories that shaped technology long after his time. Modern engineers still rely on his principles when designing skyscrapers, airplanes, and even space probes that travel millions of miles from Earth. It's amazing to think that a man who once ran naked through the streets is partly responsible for the science behind rockets. Archimedes also explored ways to measure shapes that seemed impossible to calculate, like curved surfaces that twist and bend. He developed techniques that would later inspire calculus, even though this subject wouldn't officially exist for nearly 2,000 years. His ideas were so advanced that scholars said he must have been glimpsing knowledge from the future. Although he lived more than 22 centuries ago, his thinking feels shockingly modern and endlessly creative. Archimedes taught the world that imagination and intelligence can work together like gears in a finely tuned machine. He showed that a simple moment like sinking into a bath could lead to a discovery that changes the world. His story reminds us that curiosity is one of the most powerful forces a human can have. Even today, children reading about Archimedes feel inspired to experiment with water, build inventions from cardboard, or solve puzzles with the determination of a tiny scientist. Archimedes proved that being different or a little strange isn't a weakness, it might be a sign of genius quietly forming inside you. His legacy shines in every brilliant idea, every bold experiment, and every child who wonders, what if? Archimedes saw the world as one giant puzzle filled with mysteries waiting to be solved. He believed that anyone with passion, patience, and a curious mind could discover something amazing. Whenever you see something float, lift, balance, or spin, you're watching the echoes of Archimedes' genius in action. His life encourages all of us to ask more questions, explore more boldly, and celebrate the joy of discovering something new. Archimedes left behind a universe of ideas that still brighten science today, reminding us that even the smallest spark of curiosity can lead to a spectacular eureka moment of our own.